Once upon a time, when the four sons of Lord Brahma, named Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatan, and Sanat Kumar, were wandering throughout the three worlds, they came by chance to Vishnu Loka. Although these four great sages were older than Brahma's other sons, they appeared like small naked children, only 5 or 6 years old. When Lord Vishnu's gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay, saw the four Kumars trying to enter Vaikuntha Loka, they forbade them entrance, thinking them to be ordinary children. Thus checked by the doorkeepers, Jai and Vijay, Sanandana and the other great sages very angrily cursed them.
You two foolish doorkeepers, it would be better for you to go immediately to the material world and take your birth in a family of most sinful asuras.
As Jai and Vijay were falling into the material world, being thus cursed by the sages, they heard these words.
O doorkeepers, after 3 births you will be able to return to your position in Vaikuntha, for then the duration of the curse would have ended.
Thus, these 2 associates of Lord Vishnu, Jai and Vijay, descended to the material world, taking birth as the 2 sons of Diti. Hiranyakashipu was the elder, and Hiranyaksha the younger. When Lord Vishnu, in the form of Varaha, the boar, killed Hiranyaksha, his brother, Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and wanted to seek revenge. In the valley of Mandara Hill, Hiranyakashipu began performing austerities by standing with his toes on the ground, keeping his arms upward and looking toward the sky. He wanted to be unconquerable and free from old age. He wanted to be deathless and to be the only king of the universe. Because of Hiranyakashipu's severe austerities, fire came from his head and smoke spread throughout the sky. The rivers and oceans were agitated, the mountains and islands began to tremble, and the stars and planets fell. Thus, the demigods went to Lord Brahma.
O great person, please stop these disturbances. Please, without delay, take whatever steps you deem appropriate.
Carried by his swan airplane, Lord Brahma went to Hiranyakashipu, whose body was covered by an anthill, grass and bamboo sticks.
Oh, Hiranyakashipu, please get up. You may ask from me whatever you desire, and I shall try to fulfill your wish.
Lord Brahma then sprinkled transcendental spiritual water from his kamandalu upon Hiranyakashipu's body, thus enlivening him. He then fell flat on the ground and began to express his gratitude and prayers to Lord Brahma.
Oh, my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, please let me not meet death from any of the living entities created by you. Grant me that I not die, inside or outside, during the daytime or at night, nor on the ground or in the sky. Grant me that my death not be brought by any being other than those created by you, not by any weapon, nor by any human being or animal. Grant me that I not meet death from any entity, living or non-living, and that I not be killed by any demigod or demon, or by any great snake. Grant me that I may not have rival anywhere.
Oh, Hiranyakashipu, these benedictions for which you have asked are very difficult to obtain. Nonetheless, I shall grant them to you.
When Hiranyakashipu had left his kingdom and gone to the Mandarachala mountain to perform severe austerities, his wife, Kayadhu, was pregnant at the time. The demigods mistakenly thought that she was carrying another demon in her womb and arrested her. Their plan was that as soon as the child took birth, they would kill him.
In the womb of this woman, the wife of the demon Hiranyakashipu, is the seed of that great demon. Therefore, let her remain in our custody until her child is delivered, and then we shall release her.
While they were taking Kayadhu to the heavenly planets, they met Narada Muni, who stopped them from taking her away.
The child within this woman's womb is faultless and sinless. Indeed, he is a great devotee, a powerful servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you will not be able to kill him.
Narada Muni took the pregnant mother to his ashram until Hiranyakashipu's return.
My dear child, please remain at my ashram until the arrival of your husband.
In Narada Muni's ashram, Kayadhu prayed for the protection of her baby in her womb, and Narada Muni reassured her and gave her instruction on spiritual knowledge. Taking advantage of those instructions, Prahlada Maharaja, although a small baby within the womb, listened very carefully.
My mother, being pregnant, stayed at Narada Muni's ashram, where she rendered service unto Narada Muni with great devotion. Narada Muni delivered his instructions both to me, who was in the womb, and to my mother, who was engaged in rendering him service. Because he is naturally extremely kind to the fallen souls, being in a transcendental position, he gave instructions on religion and transcendental knowledge. These instructions were free from all material contamination. The great sage Narada blessed me, and therefore I could not forget what I learned from him.
Just take the piece of cloth out of my throat.
Hiranyakashipu, thinking himself to be immortal, began conquering all of the planets in the three worlds. Remembering the death of his brother, he continued to be envious of Lord Vishnu. In spite of achieving such power, Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied, because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their servant. Everyone in the world was distressed by Hiranyakashipu's power, and at last surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu.
O best of learned persons, do not fear. I wish all good fortune to you. I know all about the activities of Hiranyakashipu, and I shall surely stop them very soon. Please wait patiently until that time. When Hiranyakashipu teases the great devotee Prahlāda, his own son, who is peaceful and sober, and who has no enemy, I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately, despite the benedictions of Brahma.
Prahlāda was already educated in devotional life, but when his father sent him to the two sons of Sukracharya to be educated, they accepted him at their school, along with the other sons of the Asuras. Prahlāda certainly heard and recited the topics of politics, economics, taught by the teachers, but he understood that politics involves considering someone a friend and someone else an enemy, and thus he did not like it. Once, the king of demons, Hiranyakashipu, took his son Prahlāda on his lap.
My dear son, please let me know what you think is the best of all the subjects you've studied from your teachers.
O best of the Asuras, king of the demons, as far as I have learned from my spiritual master, any person who has accepted a temporary body is certainly embarrassed by anxiety because of having fallen in a dark well where there is no water but only suffering. One should give up this position and go to Vrindavan, where only Krishna consciousness is prevalent, and should thus take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Thus, is the intelligence of children spoiled by the words of my enemy, Vishnu? My dear teachers, give complete protection to this boy at the Gurukula school, so that his intelligence will not be further influenced by Vaishnavas, who may go there in disguise.
Prahlad's teachers then questioned him about this knowledge.
Prahlad, has this pollution of your intelligence been brought about by you or by the enemies? Please tell us the truth.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Every one of us is an eternal servant of God, and therefore we are not different from one another.
The teachers then tried to teach Prahlad about the ways of diplomatic affairs and politics. One day, when the teachers thought that he was sufficiently educated, Prahlad's mother personally washed and dressed him nicely with ornaments, and the teachers presented him before his father. Hiranyakashipu seated Prahlad on his lap and began smelling his head. Affectionate tears glided down from his cheeks.
My dear Prahlad, my dear son, oh long loved one, for so much time you have heard many things from your teachers. Now please, repeat to me whatever you think is the best of that knowledge.
Śravanam kirtanam Vishnu smaranam padasevanam archanam vandanam tasyam sakyam atmanivedanam. Hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering him respectful worship, offering him prayers, serving him, and considering him one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto him.
What? You taught this poor boy about devotional service? What is this nonsense?
O king, whatever your son Prahlad has said was not taught to him by me or anyone else. His spontaneous devotional service has naturally developed in him.
Most fallen child of our family, if you have not received this education from your teacher, where have you gotten it?
Unless they smear upon their bodies the dust of the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, completely freed from material contamination, persons very much inclined toward materialistic life cannot be attached to the lotus feet of the Lord, who is glorified for his uncommon activities. Only by becoming Krishna conscious and taking shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord in this way can one be freed from material contamination.
After Prahlada Maharaja had spoken in this way and become silent, Hiranyakashipu, blinded by anger, threw him off his lap and onto the ground. Indignant and angry, his reddish eyes like molten copper, Hiranyakashipu said to his servants,
"Oh demons, take this boy away from me. He deserves to be killed. Kill him as soon as possible."
Thus the servants of Hiranyakashipu began tormenting Prahlad in so many ways. Although he underwent so much difficulty, Sri Prahlāda sat silently, always meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hiranyakashipu's tactics had no tangible effects upon Prahlāda, because he was a devotee, undisturbed by material conditions, and fully engaged in meditating upon and serving the Supreme Personality of God, who is unchangeable, who cannot be realized by the material senses, and who is the soul of the universe.
I can see that this boy's strength is unlimited, for he has not feared any of my punishments. He appears to be mortal.
Dear King, do not be morose. Prahlāda is nothing but a child. By the time he is somewhat grown up, he will change in his intelligence. Thus there need be no cause for anxiety.
The teachers convinced Hiranyakashipu to send his son back to the Gurukula for further education in the ways of royal householder life. However, when they went home to attend their household affairs, the students of the same age as Prahlāda would call him to play. The boys surrounded Prahlada Maharaja, giving up their playthings, and sat down to hear him.
One who is intelligent should use the human form of life from the tender age of childhood to practice the activities of devotional service to the Lord. The human body is most rarely achieved because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. The human form of life affords one a chance to return home, back to Godhead. Therefore, every living entity, especially in the human form of life, must engage in devotional service to the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. This devotional service is natural because Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the most beloved, the master of the soul, and the well-wisher of all living beings.
All the sons of the demons appreciated the instructions of Prahlada Maharaja and took them very seriously. They rejected the materialistic instructions given by their teachers, Sunda and Amarka. When their teachers observed that their students were becoming advanced in Krishna consciousness because of the association of Prahlada Maharaja, they were afraid. They approached the king, Hiranyakashipu, and described the situation. Hiranyakashipu was so angry that his body began to tremble, hissing like a snake trampled upon by someone's foot. He rebuked his son harshly. Prahlāda remained peaceful, mild and gentle, and stood before his father with folded hands.
Oh, most impudent, most unintelligent disruptor of the family! You have violated my power to rule you. Today, I will send you to the place of Yamaraj. You rascal! Don't you know that when I'm angry, all the planets in the three worlds tremble? By whose power has a rascal like you become so impudent that you appear fearless and overstep my power to rule you?
My dear king, the source of my strength, of which you are asking, is also the source of yours. The original source of all kinds of strength is one. He is not only your strength or mine, but the only strength for everyone. Without him, no one can get any strength. Whether moving or not moving, everyone is controlled by the strength of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
You rascal Prahlāda! You're trying to minimize my value, as if you were better than me. I can therefore understand that you desire to perish at my hands. For this kind of nonsensical talk is indulged in by those about to die. O most unfortunate Prahlāda, you've always described a supreme being other than me, a supreme being who is above everything, who is the controller of everyone, and who is all-pervading. But where is he? If he is everywhere, Then why is he not present before me in this villa? Because you are speaking so much nonsense, I shall now sever your head from your body. Now, let me see your most worshipable God come to protect you. I want to see!
Obsessed with anger, Hiranyakasipu, who was very great in bodily strength, took up his sword, and with great anger struck his fist against the column. From within the pillar came a fearful sound, which appeared to crack the covering of the to prove that the Supreme Lord is present everywhere, even within the pillar of an assembly hall. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, ādiṃ, exhibited a wonderful form never before seen. The form was neither that of a man nor of a lion. Thus the Lord appeared in his wonderful form in the assembly hall.
His form resembles molten gold. His fearsome eyes are extremely angry. His shining mane expands the dimensions of his fearful face. His teeth look deadly, and his razor-sharp tongue is moving about like a dueling sword. His nostrils and gaping mouth appear like caves of a mountain. His jaws harp fearfully, and his entire body is touching the sky. His chest is broad, his face thin. The hairs of his body are as white as the rays of the moon. His arms resemble flames of soldiers spread in all directions. Certainly, this must be Lord Vishnu, who possesses great mystic power. He has made a plan to kill me. But what is the use of such an attempt? Who can fight with me?
Thinking thus, Hiranyakasipu took up his club and attacked the Lord like an elephant. Lord Nṛsiṃha, however, captured the great demon just as Garuda had captured a great snake. Indeed, just as Garuda sometimes plays with a snake and lets it slip from his mouth, Lord Nṛsiṃha also gave Hiranyakasipu a chance to slip from his hand. Hiranyakasipu falsely thought that the Lord was afraid of his prowess, and took up his sword and shield, and again attacked the Lord with great force. Making a loud, shrill sound of laughter, Lord Nṛsiṃha captured the great demon and placed the demon on his lap, supporting him with his thighs. And in the doorway of the assembly hall, the Lord very easily tore the demon to pieces with the nails of his hand. His mouth and mane were sprinkled with drops of blood, and his fierce eyes were full of anger. Licking the edge of his mouth with his tongue, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Nṛsiṃha, decorated with a garland of intestines taken from Hiranyakasipu's abdomen, resembled a lion that had just killed an elephant. And the other great demigods dared not come before the Lord, who at that time was extremely angry. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Ji, was requested to go before the Lord by all the demigods present, but because of fear could not do so. Even she had never seen such a wonderful and extraordinary form of the Lord, and could not approach him. Thus Prahlada Maharaja, the best of the devotees, offered his prayers to the Lord in full spiritual knowledge and full devotional ecstasy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was greatly pleased with Prahlada Maharaja for his unalloyed devotion and provided him with one material benediction, that he would be perfectly happy in this world and live his next life in Vaikuntha. The Lord gave him the benediction that he would be the king of this material world until the end of the millennium. And although in this material world he would have the facility to hear the glories of the Lord and depend fully on him. Prahlada accepted whatever the Lord had offered him, and he prayed for the Lord to deliver his father. In response to this prayer, the Lord assured him that in the family of such a pure devotee as he, not only his father, but his forefathers for 21 generations would be liberated. Hiranyakashipu had received from Lord Brahma the benediction that he would not die on the land or in the sky. Therefore, to keep the promise of Brahma intact, Nrsimhadev placed Hiranyakashipu's body on his lap, which was neither land nor sky. Hiranyakashipu had received from Lord Brahma the benediction that he would not die on the land or in the sky. Therefore, to keep the promise of Brahma intact, Nrsimhadev placed Hiranyakashipu's body on his lap, which was neither land nor sky. Hiranyakashipu had received the benediction that he would not die either during the day or at night. Therefore, to keep this promise of Brahma, the Lord killed Hiranyakashipu in the evening, which is the end of the day, the beginning of the day, but is neither day nor night. Hiranyakashipu had taken a benediction from Lord Brahma that he would not die from any weapon or be killed by any person, dead or alive. Therefore, just to keep the word of Lord Brahma, Lord Nṛsiṃha pierced Hiranyakashipu's body with his nails, which were not weapons, and were neither living nor dead. To keep intact all of Lord Brahma's benediction, Lord Nṛsiṃha, paradoxically, but very easily, killed the great demon, Hiranyakashipu. All glories to Sri Prahlada Maharaja. All glories to Lord Nṛsiṃha.
Hari Hari.